job in a data company. I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. But today, Danish already gave a great introduction as to how AI can be helpful in your lives. Now, one thing about AI is that it takes a lot of time to get into them. So maybe you don't really know what's going on under the hood. Well, today I'm gonna give you guys a peek under the hood and show you how it works. But just for one aspect, because AI is this massive mammoth thing. So just for one aspect, it's going to be image and video creation. So I'm going to show you almost exactly how it works, in case you're interested. But then I'll also show you how you can use it for if you're growing a business, or if you're an entrepreneur, etc. So without further ado, who is a creator? Okay. All right. Yes. Hands up if you're a creator. Tentative. Said creator. Okay, we've got 4 brave people who would declare themselves as creators. Now, I might want to see if I can give you guys a little paradigm shift, okay? Examples of creators. You guys know this person? Yes. Yeah, Mr. Beast? Yeah. Probably the world's biggest creator today, right? American YouTuber, then grew a massive following, 375 million subscribers, much more than me. And then leveraged his popularity to then sign the biggest Amazon deal, TV deal in history, $100 million to create an Amazon series called Beast Games. Okay? I mean, if that's not a success story of a creator, I don't know what is. So you can make money as a creator, right? But what else could be a creator? Who else could be a creator? Another example of creator. This is a blog that I looked at a lot when I was in Chile, which is a few weeks ago. It's just an example of a blog, but basically, if you have any kind of blog, a travel blog, a food blog, clothing, lifestyle blog, you are a creator, right? And here, just a stock image, but do you think it was made by AI? If you have a business, so if any of you here have any kind of business, I specifically chose an image of a guy who has an e-commerce business, so this is him with his backpacks, which he has created, and he has a laptop where he sells stuff on. He's a one-man show, and he has a Shopify store, and he's making six figures. Okay, just an example. Okay, but he's also a creator. Why? Because whenever you have a business, if it's your own business, especially if you're growing it from to the first 5-6 figures, you're generally doing everything by yourself, and that means also your marketing, your product, your sales, right? And to do all of that, you actually have to create a lot of content. And so you are a creator, you're a business owner, you are a creator. Okay? And now with that paradigm shift, another raise of hands if you think you're a creator. Very nice. So now this talk is much more relevant to you. Amazing. Okay. So just very quickly, a little bit about me, so you think that I actually have some credibility. I once won a world competition, so I'm actually a world champion performer. This was a long time ago, but here's a nice picture of us on stage being totally shocked and looking a little embarrassed. But once upon a time, I was world champion. I also then released a song that the first song got on Spotify Germany Viral 50, which also was crazy, that blew up, and then that was kind of like a launch pad for me to say, listen, if I don't make music, what am I doing with my life? So I'm just grabbing the opportunity and seeing how far I can take it. Yeah, in the best way possible. Used to be signed a record label, now independent. More on that later. My other hat, I am a director of marketing at a tech company. So completely different. Nothing to do with music, a lot to do with data, AI, automation, and analytics. And we serve e-commerce brands. Crazy, right? That's me at a booth that we had in New York at New York Fashion Week last year. Previous photo was in LA, in Hollywood, and this is New York, so literally east to west coast. West to east coast. So this is the other thing that I do. It pays the bills. Hopefully one day music will pay the bills, but anyway. And of course, lastly, like all of you here, I'm a digital nomad, and I've been working remotely since 2018. And I also got interviewed about my digital nomadism. There's a picture of me in Kashmir. If you haven't been to Kashmir, it's beautiful. It's the Switzerland of Asia. Highly recommend also lots of places in Asia to visit. So, now I'm based in Rio de Janeiro. It's a fantastic place. I love it. Super love it. I love hiking, I have a great community here, and also I still manage to perform. I'm going to perform 1st of April, shout out to Revere's Got Talent. The reason why these pictures are here, because this is a fun game. Okay, so, look at these 3 pictures. Which one of these pictures do you think is AI generated?
Wonderful.
Okay, who thinks it's the first one? Raise your hand. Okay, we can okay, everyone here thinks, like, a lot of people here think it's the first one. Who thinks it's the second one? Second one, okay. And who thinks it's the third one? Plot twist is all of it. Okay, we have some takers for every single photo, which is very telling, right? Because they all look pretty convincing, right? They look realistic. Lighting could be a bit better in some of them. But that's the whole point, right? It's very hard to tell which picture could actually be AI generated. And I'm going to answer the question. The first one. So big up to the people who thought it was the first one. Good eyes. Yeah, but you see, like, AI is powerful. Anyway, the point of this, I draw, all right. AI is powerful, boom. So, entrepreneurs need tools. This is something I don't have to preach. I think everybody realizes that entrepreneurs need tools. Why I'm saying this, I already said a little bit about it if you're a small business, or basically this whole idea of that if you have a business idea and you want to bring it to something, there is a gap between when you have the idea and when you can build a team to work on it, right? Because you need to have a proof of concept, you need to sometimes start it from the ground. That 0 to 1 period is when you're pretty much working alone, right? Entrepreneurs here, would you agree? Yeah. Right? It's kind of a lonely journey. And it's hard to get someone to opt into your business if you don't have anything of value to give them. So what do? You need to do it by yourself, and that's why you need tools, right? So I'm here today to try and give you more ideas about how you as an entrepreneur can use tools as a creator, but also just in terms of business, okay? So here is a series of use cases for AI as a creator. You can take a picture. I spent a lot of time racking my brains on how to do this. I didn't ask ChatGPT. But I'm going to go through it a little bit. So, ooh, and then it died. Oh no, Sarah! Help! Oh no! Just as important. Okay, sorry guys. Just 1 second. Oh! Sing! No jokes, no. Whose birthday? Is it anyone's birthday today? Yeah. Whose birthday is it? Is it Jordan? Okay, we can sing a birthday song to Jordan. How about that? Oh, what's that? No! We're gonna have to wait till the end. Sorry, guys. Okay, anyway, back to the top. So much is just falling down right now. So I went through a whole, this is kind of like following a progression of how AI has been useful, okay? Like in the beginning, AI was dodgy as hell. You could not rely on it for anything. So writing was the first use case for AI. And if you guys remember 3 years ago when you tried to use ChatGPT to write a blog post, it would start with, in a world of e-commerce fluctuations and uncertainty in the environment, stuff like that, right? Like really, really bad, and you want to post it. So happy to say now AI is much better at writing content. Would recommend, you can write blog posts, all the social media captions, and I'm trying to use that for social media captions. Woo! Even translation. I would say that writing-wise, it takes you 80% of the way, but it's a good place to start, right? Next was design. Canva, lots and lots of AI-generated templates, social media posts, and also website template. Shopify actually does a really good job of using generating AI website templates. You can key in a prompt, it'll create a whole website template for you to use, which is very impressive. Images, actually, in image, AI has been sneakily seeping into our tools for a long time. So it is all these things that you see here, which we used to use on Photoshop, but then now they're available also on Canva and everywhere else. Video editing, I would say, from animating still images to cleaning up the video, to lip sync. Lip sync is actually still really bad, but you know there's an option. Audio, of course, you guys use eScript, so you already know how that works. And I propose another final use case for AI, which is a meta use case, which is using AI to prompt other AI tools. I've tried this. Have you guys tried this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Is it successful?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's good. Okay, that's good. So you can use that. I think depending on which platform, it's hit or miss. Because some platforms prefer shorter prompts, but some platforms are much better with detailed prompts. But there's the next order use of AI. Okay. What do we got? Ooh, now this clicker doesn't work.
The other side.
What?
The computer is there. See, nothing changed.
Nothing changed. All problems. Do we need to reset this clicker or something? Yeah, the AI doesn't like that I'm talking about it, so it basically like sends a bot to give you as a text. Oh, amazing! Thank you. So more AI use cases for entrepreneurs. Here are some use cases that I've encountered in the course of working on my company that I work for, but also my own music. So scaling content, there is a platform that if you create ads for example, clients, and you want to just like make hundreds of them, it handles everything from storyboarding, script writing, storyboarding, into generating multiple pieces of content. And then there's like a bunch of audit AIs as well. So if you want to check your blog post for SEO, you want to check your websites for like conversion rate optimization or whatever, there are a bunch of these tools. Writing code is actually very good at writing code, but make sure you check it. Company research and enrichment, cold email, all this like sales stuff. There are also lots of AI tools. Customer service, just the basic answering questions, but at the end of the day, you still need a human. Making introductions. This is a very interesting use case that I recently discovered. You can have an AI bot to basically connect you with people. So like it'll just send you people that it thinks that you should meet, and then you can talk to them, and it's actually very good. One thing that it does really badly is data analysis. Now, it is known that mentions today, but also anybody that works with AI realizes that AI is really bad at math. It can do simple additions, but if you ask it to do something very basic, like what is the average of these 5 numbers, it gives you a completely random answer. And the worst thing is that it's so convincing. It is so confident in its answer, which is wrong. I wish I had that confidence as a student. But just don't trust it, okay? Don't trust the data analysis. I know I work in a company that uses AI for, tried to use AI for data analysis, and it's bad, okay? We don't do it, by the way. Quick look into CapCut. Anyone use CapCut? CapCut is amazing. CapCut has so many features if you pay for them. If not, they paywall everything. But just an example of what video editing software looks like now, incorporating a lot of AI. Also a screenshot of me looking cute, I think, hopefully. I just wanted to point out that in every tool that you have today, there's probably AI in it already, okay? So you don't have to go to a special AI tool, right? All tools have AI. I'm going to point out some. Obviously, it says AI avatars, obviously that's AI. AI media, obviously it's AI. But all these things, look at all these things, like innocuously, they don't have AI on them. They're just like, oh, do this. It's easy. Click this button. It happens in seconds, right? This is also AI. So there is actually AI in pretty much every tool that you're using. Even if they don't call it AI, it's still AI. All right, AI has been around for a long time before we even started talking about it. Want to show you a fun example of this, how CapCut integrates AI image generation into its platform, just to make it very user-friendly. So I was playing around with this image generation. Basically, you can put a prompt: lady with shoulder length, light brown hair, wearing a flowy purple dress, riding a horse through a field of cotton candy. And it's really convenient because like, when you have this image generation inside your editing tool, then it makes the workflow seamless, right? So technology is companies are trying to find a way to incorporate AI so that your workflow is easier. So how does it work? Now we're going to get super nerdy. Who wants to get super nerdy? Yeah! Oh my god, I'm so excited. I love this crowd. So the big picture, okay? We have artificial intelligence. It's like this huge thing. I already said, like it encompasses a lot of things. Within artificial intelligence is machine learning, right? This is where large language models come in. And within that is generative models. This is how we get images and content, right? And within that, even further, is a few different ways in which AI can create images. And one of them is called the diffusion technique. The reason why I'm focusing on the diffusion technique is because diffusion has been the most reliable method of creating images. out of all the other images, they look really janky or like weird or super ugly or whatever. Diffusion has been the most successful. I'm not saying it's amazing, but as you can see from just now, many of you already thought that the image was a real photo. So that's, I think, it's successful. Now, it's just a quick segue to talk a little bit about open source versus closed source. So once we start talking about AI, we also have to think about how it's built, right? Like anything that has been programmed, sometimes the code base is available for people to build on, and sometimes it's closed. Now, this doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the end user, but if you're somebody who wants to really work with AI, you need to think about this because there are just different ways of doing things. Who cares about this? Shall we move on? Okay, OpenAI is open source. Google, for example, is closed source. And you can build off of OpenAI. You can run APIs to create your own, make your own AI agents or whatever. But if you're on Google, for example, the pros and cons is that it could be better, but it could also, basically you don't know what's going on under the hood. Okay? So, possible illegal practices, blah, 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 whatever. Okay? So that's open source and closed source. Now we're going to talk about on open source because we support innovation and technology growing through the community. So that's only accessible to open source. We're going to talk about a generative AI model that I trained, or somebody trained with me, using LoRa. So LoRa is a fine-tuned version of the large machine learning model Stable Diffusion. Stable Diffusion is one of the bigger platforms that are successful in this field. So we use LoRa. And here's a bunch of pictures that I sent like, it was not bad. So basically what happened was that I sent like, how do I say this? Stable Diffusion already has the model, right? LoRa is fine-tuned by training Stable Diffusion on like, I don't know, like billions of images in the world, right? And then on top of that, I trained LoRa with my image. So it's able to then generate images of me in different contexts with my info, right? And you can use one image, but obviously the larger the data set, the more useful it is. So I sent like 100 pictures. And just to show you what it looks like, Sarah, can you click the button? Oops, thank you. This is how creation looks like with AI, okay? It looks like gobbledygook, right? So if you're a programmer, maybe like it would be great, but it really looks different from like when you take paints or like you take a video, you take a video with a camera. So we have a prompt, and then basically just like there's a bunch of stuff, and then an image gets spit out. Yes, that's how it works. We never know this because tools like CapCut and basically all the other tools have already made it easy for us to use. Right? But the whole thing about AI is that it's a black box. Nobody ever knows what is going on. So now I'm giving you a little chance to see what happens inside that black box. So you know exactly what is going on. There is a model, there is a machine learning, it's taking data sets, and it's using that to create images of you, right? Then you start thinking like, but where are these data sets coming from? Are they ethical use? Are they stolen from the internet? Anyway, but that's another story. This is how it works. And another thing I wanted to point out was that it's so interesting now how, as a creator, to access this, for example, right? You actually cannot access this unless you have a GitHub account, which means the artists of tomorrow are programmers. Let us sink in, okay? If you're a programmer out here, you will be the artist of tomorrow, okay? People who paint and everything, like, it's gonna be very hard to get into this. So, here's the win from the Sasha M LoRa model. Anybody recognize this picture? It's my speaker picture. Yep, I told you AI, you guys. I've been AI, you guys since the beginning. Can I be a Rickroll stop right now? Okay. I will very quickly show you a fail. Here's a fail. Next! Okay, so I would say that the ideal workflow for video creation. First step, human. Have a great concept. Then it's use AI, use AI, use AI, and end with human. Okay? There's a reason for this. Just like in text, AI in general cannot be trusted to finish the job. Okay? AI will get you 80% of the way, but there always needs to be a human validation or verification to close the loop on anything that you do with AI. So I would suggest, if you're going to incorporate AI into your process, never make it the full thing. Okay? AI can replace parts of the creation process. It can never make up the entire process. So more fun examples. This was an image. Once again, I'm an artist, so I was trying to make some wallpaper, like sci-fi themed wallpaper. So I was like, ooh, what if like I was in a sci-fi world? This was an image that's created with Laura, and this is also part of the storyboarding process. So it had the image, and then I put it in Runway ML, and it made a video. And look how realistic that is. Look how smooth the movements are, right? The framing and the camera movement is very natural, and I was very impressed. I think that basically I could already use this in a music video. I could use it in an ad, right? I would say that this was 6 months ago, and today I would use different tools, and I'm already experimenting with different tools. But I would say 6 months ago, this was already very good. So, what's next, and especially what's next for you guys? Don't know if you know, but like 1 week ago, less than 1 week ago, Google released their own generative AI, image generative AI, Gemini 2.0 Flash. So of course I had to experiment with it. I'm just going to show you in case you haven't tried it yourself. Sarah, can you play the video? It's very easy to use. Obviously this is closed source, so you have no idea what's going on, but basically you just put in a picture, and then you tell it what to do, and it will do something. So I'm now doing a zoom out. What that is, it's outpainting. In Stable Diffusion, it's called outpainting. And it's basically like in Photoshop, it's like magic canvas, right? So it's all the same thing. And then it's actually doing a very good job, right? So, but then it has its own quirks because, I don't know, I don't know what it's trained on. So now I'm asking to do a different pose, and now it's giving me a different pose. It'll happen at some point. Okay, yeah. Okay, so then, so it's like, oh, this is a glamorous person, right? Like, I'm sure she wants to do like a glamorous pose. And then I said, change to another pose, and it was like, okay, I'm very bad at prompting, obviously, as you can see, so I leave it all up to the AI. And then the AI gives me this. So, moral of the story, use ChatGPT to prompt Google because, like, obviously my prompts are terrible and ChatGPT gives you better ones. Okay, quick talk on ethical concerns. So, would you use AI if you were in? Okay, imagine if you're like making ads for a $1 billion client, right? Imagine you're doing some content for Amazon, or you have a big like client that is Microsoft or something, right? Would you use AI to make those videos? Hands up if you would. Hands up if you would. Hands up if you wouldn't. Okay. Why, right? So why would be ethical concerns? Your client would have so many questions as to where the data set comes from, and if those images that were trained, it was trained on, are licensed to be used for commercial purposes, right? And that's a problem. That's a question that nobody can answer because even open source or closed source, nobody has any clue whatsoever where all this data is coming from. So, I went once for a talk in New York last year, Digital Marketing World Forum, and there was a speaker. She was a chief marketing officer of Rostelli's. It's a big, major food group in the US. It's been around for generations, right? And she, as a chief marketing officer, was incorporating AI into her process. So I asked her, how do you use AI in your company, which is an old company, right? Very old, traditional way of thinking. And she said, well, of course, first she had to be like a change maker and change with thought leadership. But secondly, how she uses it is that she only uses it for mock-ups and ideation. Okay, so she gets a team to use AI to generate possible images, and then once the board has approved the images or the video content or whatever, then they hire the production team to go and shoot. So I would say that would be a great best practice if you're dealing with this. Because in any industry, even for songwriting, like for example, we can't, like I have some songs that are used on American national campaigns, ad campaigns, and they will not accept anything that has samples or anything to do with AI, because they want to make sure that you can use every piece of the art that you've created. So with that in mind, version 2 of the ideal workflow, I would say have a great concept, storyboard, make clips, recreate the mockup, and edit and scale using AI tools. And that's all from me. I hope that you found this very informative. Sasha M.
So are you singing now? Is that the part where you sing?
Yeah, we should.